Ndewo Igbo, kedu ka ị mere? Welcome back to my channel. What we do here, like I would always say, is we talk about our spirituality, our cosmology as Ndi Igbo. We are here to often discuss terms, concepts, culture, traditions, things that our ancestors did in the past that have somehow re-emerged in this our modern reality. So we're also looking at how our ancestors, how they lived their life, how they were able to interact and use the things that they saw in their environment and make those things to work for them. So we're here to discuss all those things, and most especially we're here to correct, I'm here to correct the negative stereotypes and impressions that we already have about our culture and our spirituality in relative to terms like chi, alose, more, and some other concept that has been demonized in our indigenous spirituality. Now, when we look at the topic I want to discuss here, it is going to center around iha-mmiri and the Dubai technology, the whole cloud seeding thingy that they did that erupted into some sort of a flood in Dubai. Now I want us to look at iha-mmiri and compare it to cloud seeding and know how our ancestors have been doing weather manipulations for God knows how long, and these people are doing cloud and weather manipulations recently, and it's resulting to all these problems. Now, why is it happening? So we're going to look at it. But before I begin, I want us to understand, like, I've come to the realizations that there are some of the things that our ancestors did and how they arrange their lives, some of the practices that they engaged in, that we spiritualize it. We say, oh, it is the spirits that helps them to know these things, and this is why we have so many ritual practices that we do and we dedicate it to them. Now in this modern time, there are so many things that we have done in the past that they are doing currently, and they're giving it a different name. Now we have iha-mmiri and cloud seeding, for instance. Now we also have this thing that the midwives used to do. There is this thing that they call a breech position for a baby in the womb, and it is one of the key factors of the things that leads to infant mortality or maternal mortality during childbirth. Now when this child is in a breech position, it means that the head of the baby, instead of it being positioned down, that is going to basically make at the tip or exit of the womb, the baby's head is basically facing up. Now we now see these midwives back in the day, they were able to use their hands and turn this child, this baby, from that breech position and position the baby's reposition the baby head down, that it makes it very easier for the child to basically exit the womb. Now the modern term that they call it is external cephalic version, ECV. But already our ancestors, even without having medical knowledge and modern medical knowledge and all those things, without any formal education, our ancestors, women who were midwives, were able to do these things. Now another thing now that I just came across was this thing that about the placenta. Now currently they are advocating for saving of the placenta, the cord blood, and they're now saying that the placenta the cord blood it contains cell stems that can be used to treat issues like diabetes, sickle cell issues, HIV, and all these terminal illnesses. But newsflash, our ancestors sort of knew that there was something within the placenta, the cord blood, that they were just saving it. Now, and I begin to wonder, what if that even before the laws of knowledge that we have, way back, it has begun to be happening way even before Christianity and all, we've been losing aspects of, some knowledge that we know, maybe because we did not really translate it well, and we sort of covered some of these meanings with spiritisms and spirituality that we somehow forgot, because rituals are ways by which we pass on informations and socialize our children to what we are actually doing. And because when you look at some of these rituals, they will tell you, okay, you're sick, you will now perform some certain rituals, but at the end of the day, you'll be given a herb. Now, what saves your life? It is not the rituals, but it's the herb that actually saves your life in that context. Now, when we're now looking at these activities that our ancestors have been doing prior to modernization, the colonization, slavery, missionary, and all this, modern medical sciences that we have been having, predominantly in our culture, what are we doing? Now, this whole iha-mmiri and cloud seeding technology, they now tell you that what cloud seeding is the act of deliberately introducing certain chemicals and substances into the cloud in order to enhance precipitation, which would now be based on some principles of atmospheric physics and chemistry. This is what they just use. They use the knowledge of physics, chemistry. They will now bring in some chemicals, some substances, push it into the clouds or into the atmosphere, and it's going to enhance precipitation, hence rain. Now, in our own indigenous science, in our own indigenous cosmology, ordinarily, what is the Dibia doing? The Dibia is not the Dibia na iha-mmiri. He or she, I don't even a woman does rainmaking. I don't know, but predominantly I know that men are the ones that are in charge of rainmaking. So, how do they do it? What are they doing? You could see a Iji-Mmiri in an environment. He's chanting, he's hitting his gong, he's saying some words. What is making those things possible? Is it the words or the chants or the incantations or the affirmations that he's saying? What exactly is triggering precipitation within our Igbo context? What is he doing? This is when you will now look closely to what the Dibia is using, the items that the Dibia is using. You will see the Dibia using roots. You will see the Dibia using herbs. And most especially because I have experienced this thing. I have seen them do this thing. So what they do is they would burn continuously. They are burning those herbs. And those herbs will be sending in smokes into the atmosphere. And once so far that smoke keeps going into the atmosphere, and so far that herbs keeps on burning, you would not see rain. And the same process that when they want to basically make it to rain, this is the same. Maybe they reverse engineer the same thing or use a different kind of herbs that is going to now make it to rain. It is still the same people, the same person, or the same people that are the same category. They are not different from one another. So we will now look at what our ancestors are doing. We wrap it up with layers of rituals. And I think doing it so basically mystifies the whole process. It makes it seem as if we are praying to some sort of a cosmic being, we are praying to some supernatural being and begging it to hold the rain or to make it rain. But there is a process, there is a principle to iha-mmiri. Now, cloud seeding technology that the Dubai them UAE they used, which led to the flood. Now, I don't know what happened. Scientists would investigate and try to know why it happened, what they're going to now do better and adjust so that they will not have a repetition of what happened. But why is it that throughout our history as Igbo, our ancestors have been able to engage in weather manipulation without having incidents such as flooding? Why? Now, our cosmology, our spirituality is rooted in observing balance. It's rooted in natural science. It also encourages and enforces limitation. It makes sure that you don't use more than you need. You take and you give back to the environment. But one thing about modern science is that it takes, and it takes. It doesn't give back to the environment, and when the environment is now pushing back, they will now start looking for solutions. And some of the solutions are not nature-based. They will now start up with things that are artificial, things that does not really, it is not rooted in any natural expression. Now, this is the reason why our ancestors, and I guess this is where, the spiritual forces that we have, this is where they come in, because they are there to enforce constraint. They are there to make sure that we don't misuse and overuse those knowledge or resources that nature has freely granted us. This is why upon our years and years of, weather manipulation, we've never experienced a situation where this thing basically turned against us. So this is where the deities and the spiritual beings, and this is where even the rituals are even more important, because as you are you want to do this, you have this deity that you answer to, or this spiritual being that you answer to is holding you accountable. So once you're doing it, you're basically talking, you're going to pre-inform, and you're giving it something and say, okay, come and help us to do this thing. But in the reality, what is actually triggering the process of this precipitation, iha-mmiri or Iji-Mmiri, is the roots, the herbs, and the stone crystals that they are using to, trigger the process of precipitation, and we'll now see some sort of change within the weather condition. Now, finally, when I wrote this article for the first time, people were doubtful. They were like, oh, but they see all these chants, and yes, this is because we are not able to put in words what we are doing, or what we learned from our ancestors. So it is now our job in this modern century to begin to explore, to now start seeking, okay, they are using these herbs, what components is within these herbs and in this root that is causing this thing to be what it is. This is when we start asking the questions. Why? What is actually happening? Now we need to now separate the process of iha-mmiri from the way that it has been portrayed. We can even write books, scientific books, about the process of what iha-mmiri or Iji-Mmiri is all about, instead of just trumping it out up to some sort of a supernatural intervention. And when we begin to do that, we would now see and show the world that yes, these things that you people are saying that you're doing now, our ancestors, even without the knowledge of modern sciences, or without the knowledge of the normal physics and chemistry that were being taught in school, they were able to do these things this way. And they did it not because of supernatural beings, but they are doing it because they somehow were close to nature. They were able to experiment, they were able to use this, use that, and bring all these things together and use them to do something in a certain way. But we now presented it as a spiritual accomplishment, which served a purpose. But if we want to move far as a country, as a people, we need to separate it from our spiritual belief and tilt this knowledge, this Igbo African sciences, into the proper channel that is supposed to flourish in, because the world is now shifting from belief-based interpretation of things to knowledge-based, facts and sciences. They are be able to say, okay, if you repeat this process this way and that way and this way, it is going to give you the certain result. So there is a need for us to shift it, so we don't end up spiritualizing everything that we're not supposed to spiritualize, because these sciences like this is a process. It is a process. So we need to look at the process of how things are doing before we start trumping it up to a spiritual accomplishment. And that does not mean that we don't owe so much to our spiritual belief system. I said earlier that what made us have so much constraints and limited us to not trying to overuse these natural resources are these spirit-based deities, and what they do for us and how we revere and how we relate with them. They did their own part, we are doing our own part, and together we can be formidable. Now, if you have any questions, now I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to like to hear your thoughts. So if you have anything to say, you can share with me what you think about this iha-mmiri and this cloud seeding. Do you think the two systems are related to one another? And if you think it is related, or if you don't think it's related, don't forget to just drop your comment and let's have a conversation about it. Yeah, guys. Yeah.